Okay, hello everyone. Welcome to the channel. Today, I'm talking to Jonathan Griffiths. Most people will know him as Carnivore Muscle on YouTube. Jonathan's got a remarkable story, but we're not really talking about his health journey so much as we are talking about his latest competition win. He recently won first place in regional. In a regional competition in the UK, and his next competition coming up is the UK Nationals, in which he's going for a pro card. So that'd be interesting to watch. Also dispelling some myths about diet and exercise, bodybuilding, building muscle, and recovery, such as one of the biggest ones. The eat as soon as you finish training sort of thing is another myth that is kind of seems to be one of those myths that is hard to kill. Some people seem to think that you still need to eat within 30 minutes. Now, when I was studying, this was the norm. The education was that if you eat within the first 30 minutes of training, your recovery will be a lot faster. Like your recovery will be within the 24-hour period rather than a week-long period. That's just one of those silly myths that seems to be it's kind of like the cholesterol myth too, So it's one of those hard to kill myths. But we also talk about his planning, how he plans his day, how he plans his competitions leading up to competitions, also his diet preparation and training preparation. So it's a good talk, and I look forward to doing some more talks with Jonathan. He's a great guy and knows what he's doing. So I'll leave the links for his webpage. He also has a great ebook, over 170 pages, which, for most ebooks is absolutely huge. So it has a lot of detail in it. So I thoroughly recommend it. It's about $12 US, $15 Australian. So dead cheap and easy to get. So I thoroughly recommend it, and I hope you enjoy the chat.
Yeah.
All right. Well, first, thanks for joining me, mate. It's been a while, sort of in the making, trying to get you. I know you're pretty busy, so trying to nail you down and get you into talk on my channel has been. So I really appreciate you taking the time, buddy.
Yeah, my pleasure. I'm glad to be here. Great stuff.
Yeah. So first off, let's talk about the recent competition you recently won. Everyone who knows Jonathan will know he won a bodybuilding competition again recently. He has quite a history of in bodybuilding. It's not the first one you've won either, is it? How many competitions have you won now?
I want to say 4 or 5, but they're spanning over about 14 years. So it's hard to remember.
Yeah, fair enough. Now, you've been a nutrition consultant, and you have, I suppose most people would know you as the Carnivore Muscle on YouTube. When did all this start for you?
Yeah, so I started looking into nutrition when I was about 14 years old. As soon as I started getting into the gym, I was already in that kind of atmosphere of being fit, healthy, reading magazines, flex magazines, copying workouts, doing all the diets. It was actually my brother who got me hooked into it, basically, to training and that sort of thing. I did pretty much every sport you could think of, well, most of them anyway, a very high competitive level. The ones that count anyway, guys. And from there, basically, I sort of had my own journey where I gained a bit of fat, lost fat, binge eating, health issues, more than I can probably count at this point. And yes, I sort of basically came into the competitive bodybuilding scene from the standpoint that I knew of people that were competing who were training for longer than me, adults, also oftentimes on performance enhancing drugs at the time. And I was like, well, I'm exceeding them in the gym. Like, my body's better than theirs, and I'm a kid. it was like, I'm like one of those Richard Sandrek people, if you know, from back in the day. This young lad, basically, he looked like a little Hercules, I think they called him. So I was like that at that age, and it was bizarre, but I just gained muscle quite easily. And from there, I sort of had to pack on the pounds a bit to be competitive in the larger categories of bodybuilding. So you have different stages, different categories. It starts from men's physique, goes up to men's classic, men's 212, and also men's open. So it's the way of graduating amongst the ranks, basically, but they're all competitive nowadays because there's so many people that go to the gym. And yeah, basically from there, I just thought, well, I had my spine fusion about a year and a half ago. And as soon as I walked out of that surgery, I was like, okay, this isn't going to be a limitation on me. I'm not going to be held back by something that someone else did to me when I was about 13 years old. At the same time, I tried to empower myself to make sure that I know that I'm in control. A lot of people that are on the autistic spectrum, like myself, or deal with any kind of neurodivergence, often lose control. They feel a lack of what do you call it? A lack of locus. There's a word for it. Range of locus. Can't remember what the terminology is. The loci of control, something like that. And I just didn't have anything that I could control, manipulate. Obviously, when you're bodybuilding, you're tracking how much you eat, you're tracking how you're training, you're using the intervention to get the desired results. So everything you do can be measured and managed, and therefore you know exactly how to achieve your goals. And it's nice when you sort of check box it off each day. You think, yeah, I've done everything I can today to sort of reach my goals. Couldn't have done really any better than that. And it keeps me on my toes, keeps me motivated. And the experiments around my body through training, nutrition, things like that, supplements, has now enabled me to help pass it forward, which is really helpful. So I'm getting people measure me all the time, like, I've got a spine problem. You know, loads of people have back problems and things and live with digestive issues, poor sleep, mood, depression, things like that. And for me, it's been a case of, well, how can I relate to those people with my experiences and pass that forward? So that's everything I've tried to do on my channel. So I've kept my YouTube channel, which is Carnivore Muscle, as focused towards my skill set as much as possible, but also to give people insights into myself as a person and how they might be able to achieve similar things. And I'm not saying I've achieved absolutely everything I wanted to. There's an enormous amount of things I want to achieve. Type A personality, I'm quite driven. But knowing that I've been able to tick box some things, it says I'm close to my endpoint. And every man out there should have some sort of goal. I don't think it's healthy for the mind just to go about, you know, going to work, getting home from work, having a takeaway, watching a film, Netflix, going to bed, doing something. I don't think that's a graduation of life. I think it's a regression of life, and I choose not to live that way personally. But these things are entertainment. We always talk about different things being entertainment. You know, different foods can be entertainment. Decoration, it's all for show, guys. As long as how you feel in yourself is of the utmost priority, then I can get behind that for sure. And some people having a bag of popcorn on the weekend, it seems to help them sleep at night. For me, it probably wouldn't help me at all. So it's all scaled down to an individual, and just passing forward to people the big pillars that actually make a difference to people's health outcomes and well-being as well. That's definitely what's important to me.
That's great. It's a great mindset, but it's also a good lesson there for a lot of people. You know, you said, for example, having those goals and having those boxes that you tick off every day to make sure that you are on track and keep going. So you know you've done what's right. You know you've kept yourself on track for that day. Everything's calm. It's all good. So you just keep moving along. You know. I think actually I was talking to some of my patrons just yesterday about a similar sort of thing. Having a goal for the next day, getting up and doing it straight away, first thing in the morning, like just start ticking off those boxes before you even think about it. It just makes it so much easier, because if you postpone things for later in the day, you have that stress inside you, you know, that voice inside you telling, you know, that just wants to sit and watch TV all day. You end up arguing with yourself all day. It's a stress that you put on yourself, you know. So
yeah, I completely agree. Agree.
That's a great way to look at it. Do you plan your next day every night, or do you have a long-term plan that you just stick to?
Yes, I'm hyper organized. I live my life in 10 to 15 minute intervals, meaning if I look at my phone now, okay, look at my phone now. I know I've got about 3 events to do before lunchtime. So it's currently 10 a.m. here, so I've got about 3 hours to get them done. I'm going to get them done. That's not an issue. They're not big deal, big things. But if I don't put them in there, I won't do it. Because I'm so hyper focused on the task that I've got at hand. So, for example, right now we're having a chat. I want to give to people good advice that actually helps them, makes it worth their 30, 40 minutes of time to watch this video. I'm thinking, okay, what's the next thing to do? What's the next script for a video? I've always got something to do in the background. What can I create a new ad for an ebook? Can I promote myself better? Is there a form that I need to make more concise so my clients can easily access information, communicate with me? I'm juggling lots of different, spinning tops, I guess you could say, and I quite enjoy that as long as I'm well managed. But the thing is, I do plan out every single day, and the day after that, and the day after that, and the day after that, and oftentimes my weeks are planned roughly 2 weeks in advance. So, for example, I know that I'm doing a carnivore conference event in, I believe it's the middle of September, roughly, give or take. I think the website is carnivoreconference.co.uk for anyone that's wondering and listening. And I'll be there and a few others from the Carnivore Team GB, which I'm sure you're familiar with. And yeah, that means I'm going to be about 2 to 3 weeks out from my next contest, which means I'm going to have to travel up there, which means I'm going to have to bring more stuff, the right food, my weighing scale, mine salt, all that sort of stuff. Any coffee that I particularly like, to keep my home comforts as similar as possible, because an individual like myself that's autistic, traveling across the country, literally, to speak at an event where I'm probably going to be in pain for the whole time, it takes a lot of work. Means I'm having to manage my medicine, take my medication there, put it in like a pill popper pouch thing, so it's all a network of just trying to keep myself ready to go ahead of time, and I schedule things in way in advance. So I'm oftentimes collaborating with people a month later.
Yeah, there's another great lesson there too. Is being organized and taking your food with you. A lot of people I see, they try to find things that are carnivore friendly, so-called food along the way, where they stop at McDonald's and just pick up, meat patties and so on. It's just get your crap together. Get organized.
Yeah, I mean, we're fortunate over here in the UK. The beef patties are beef patties, and they don't use seed oils, so it's as clean as you can really get. It's as clean as you can make it at home, pretty much. The obvious thing is you don't know quite the sourcing. You don't know exactly that. It could have a different, spread of bacteria on it. Different, if you change your terrain, your inner terrain will also change. So it's every time you deviate too much, that's when it can become a potential problem. Especially being so lean at the moment, like below 6% body fat, your immune system is much weaker. So I do have to be prepared. I can't think, I'm just going to wear the same boxes the next day, or wear the same socks, or just do like lazy things, which most lads of my age sort of would do. You have to be much more uptight with your hygiene and stuff like that, because you can so easily get ill when you're lean. Honestly.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I agree. As people don't understand that when you are lean, you do sort of open yourself up to more infections, colds, flus, and that sort of stuff as well. But that's another discussion. So let's go to this. Talking about this, all sort of comes into the way you prepare for your competition as well. Now, you recently won a competition. Is that local bodybuilding in the UK?
Yeah, it's called a regional qualifier. So it means if you win the regional qualifier, you get an invite to the British finals.
Okay, great. Yeah. So you just won that. So you now obviously qualified for the UK finals. So when is that?
That's October the 20th, I think, around about that time. It's on a Sunday, around then. My goal is to win it, do my best that I can, and hopefully win a pro card, which will mean, hooray, another carnivore pro athlete. That's the main reason I'm doing it for this instance. I got everything I wanted mentally out of the last competition, and in terms of like what I want to achieve out of it for myself. But now it's a case of how do I pass it forward a little bit to support other people that have also supported me in this time, like yourself. Come on my channel to leave nice comments, people leave super chats. I think, well, if I can push this thing a bit further forward, maybe there's another young lad out there bodybuilding who could do it a better way, a much more healthier, a much more achievable, sustainable way. So I don't know how many people I'll impact with that, but I'm getting messages most days from young people saying, "Oh, I've tried your new method and it's really good," and this, that, and the other. And I'm like thinking, well, I've potentially saved someone from a major back injury in their life at some point. Potentially, I've done, mitigated lots of damage to people's health. So I'm trying to look at it from that standpoint, not so much the people that you hear from scream from the hilltops to say how great a carnivore diet is, but people who have like tried it and use it. Sometimes maybe they let their family know, maybe they do it with their wife, their partner, So it's kind of like stemming out the olive branch,
Yeah, that's good. All right, so let's talk about that note. Okay, we're trying to save people time, money, and a lot of heartache, really, because I believe like the fitness industry. I've been in the fitness industry myself for a long time. It is second only to the medical industry, and it comes in terms of the amount of damage that it's done to people.
and chillability as well.
Yeah, well, there's that too. There's all kinds of problems you can talk about the fitness industry. There's just the people, the food, and all sorts of things. But what you are doing obviously is saving a lot of people a lot of money and a lot of time as well. Yes, it is expensive. Bodybuilding is an extremely expensive sport to compete in. But let's talk about first some of the limitations. You were talking about your back injury. Some of these limitations that a lot of people don't have. So let's go through that for a sec.
Yeah, so I had my spine fused about a year and a half ago. Since then, I had a very drastic improvement in my symptoms up to about the 3-month mark. And beyond that point, it's gone tragically worse. So I'm in a worse state now than what I was before surgery. The idea was I'd have surgery, lay off the training a bit, be a bit more safe, a bit more careful, courteous of my body, then compete again in the future. I've been in a bit of a pinch now because I'm not getting any younger. My body's getting worse and regressing by the week. So it's frustrating. I spend a lot of money on medications, and over the last few years, like supplements and peptide, everything you can think of, everything you can think of that you could buy, make, or do to your body. I've tried it. I've invested thousands into myself, absolutely thousands. Every penny I've earned, I've spent on that for the most part. And it's tricky because you do have to change everything you do in your life to manage to be able to get into the gym. Less training frequency, less training volume, the right exercises. Maybe I have to omit a load of different things from my sessions in the gym. Also live with autistic spectrum disorder, so my main issues are with sensory things. So I also live with kind of a comorbidity. It's called synesthesia. So when I'm speaking, especially if I'm anxious, especially, I start to reproduce like sounds, like smells, tastes, and senses basically as I'm speaking. It's very frustrating because it means you're almost living in a cartoon world, which is bizarre, but it's not quite as vivid as what you think. I'm not looking at you and thinking, oh, Tom and Jerry. It's more, I'm looking at the background, I can see like waves or something, or everything looks a bit different, or I'll have a smell of some sort. Can be quite distracting at times, but I think over time it's a symptom I can improve. The other ones are the light. So for me, like yourself, wearing the old blue blockers, it's middle of the morning here. It's probably late at night for you. So I don't need to wear them personally right now, but I do wear things like that. Red light panel therapy, grounding sheet. I do all the biohacks. You could probably think to do that isn't affordable for a person like myself. And I found light to be probably the second most important thing behind diet, in that my well-being is improved by the greatest degree by using the effective light hacking strategies. I say hacking, but it's not really hacking. It's just doing what we're meant to be doing. So not staying at a screen all day. So it means I'm first thing in the morning, I'm outside having breakfast. 3 out of 4 of my meals of the day, usually at least, are outside grounded. As much bare skin as I can possibly show. Just eating my food, getting some sunlight, building up my tan. I've actually had to increase the lightness of my visual to make my tan seem less dark, but I'm really brown. It's absurd. And I'm blonde hair type, skin Fitzpatrick type 2. So, yeah, it's quite a bizarre one, but you can build up a solar callus, we found out. But yeah, that's the main thing, sensory stuff. A bit of communication issues at times. I find people can be quite inconsistent, especially through written text and conversation that way. So oftentimes I'm having to second guess if someone's annoyed or what, or so it makes my life quite challenging. And oftentimes I will read a piece of text in a certain cadence based on how it appears. And that can make me quite anxious at times. So if someone sent me a big block paragraph with lots of exclamation marks, I feel almost some kind of empathy for that person. It's very bizarre, but it's annoying because I don't really want to. You don't want to put yourself on the fishing line all the time. It's not pleasant. So yeah, there was lots of little hacks I have to do with neurodivergence, and the last one, which will surprise people probably the most, is chronic fatigue syndrome. So I'm one of those biohacker people. I do all the stuff I'm meant to be doing. The moment I'm experimenting with my body weight to see where I feel best, there isn't a rule of thumb where I feel best. I feel the same regardless of if I'm heavy or light, until I get really heavy, like 125 kilos. But I look closely at the ancestral diet side of things. I look carefully at the deuterium side, any biochemistry, genetic tests I've done, all the sort of things that you'd think a person trying to take their own health for themselves seriously. I've looked into all of it. I've been through the mill, believe me. And I've narrowed it down to quite a few things. I found some supplements and diet interventions good here and there. A lot of the time the pendulum just swings back, and as that does something, then it stops working. But so they're probably the 3 most impactful things that I live with. Other than that, a few niggles here and there and scars and wounds and things, but yeah.
So, I mean, for anyone who's listening to this, that think that he's got it somewhat easier to build muscle or anything like that sort of idea in your head. Obviously, there's he has a lot of other problems that most people would use as an excuse. So this is what I really like about Jonathan, is that he doesn't see them as limitations. He sees them as challenges, and he beats them. And that's why we should. I think that's one of the things that we should look at when we have problems pop up in our lives. I think we just look at them as challenges, not as an excuse to give up. So that's one thing I really admire about Jonathan and his story. But not just that, the fact that you've gone on to win these competitions, like this recent one as well. So you can tell us a bit about your preparation into that. You're talking about throughout the past, 14 years or so, you've been bodybuilding. Obviously, you've been through all kinds of training methods, all kinds of supplementation. I was the same. I was the supplement king. When I was younger, and I went through all of them. It's I tried them all, and I would work out. I'd write down, okay, how each one would make me feel differently, how it was going to, especially while training and things like that, for the most important part, and then obviously recovery. So what kind of supplementation do you take now, and did you use leading up to your competition?
Sure, yeah. So first of all, thanks for the kind words. It's much appreciated. And in terms of the supplements, I'll use them for periods of time based on need. One thing that I did keep in was taurine powder. I won't go through every single thing because it's easy for people to Google it. It's not worth me spending 5 minutes explaining every supplement. So taurine's one of them. Creatine sporadically, another one. Probably don't need it, guys, if you're eating a lot of meat, but it could be helpful. The other ones were tyrosine. So I'd use that sometimes in my cup of coffee before the gym. Coffee, it's a supplement to me. It's caffeinated, basically. Well, I do a lot of decafs nowadays. Trying to think what else. Omega-3 or cod liver oil. I seem to be apparently one of the only people in the world that can access toxin-free, aldehyde-free cod liver oil, but I can get it. But yeah, so I use that quite occasionally, but I'll use that for periods of time. So I'll use it until I start to feel like I've lost my taste for fish. So I'll do the fish and the cod liver oil or omega-3 oil. And when I start to lose that taste for fish, I know I've probably maxed out my levels. Turns out to be true because my levels are always about 1-to-1, omega-3 to 6 ratio. The other things are, I'm trying to think now, like pre-workout powders. So if they've got like taurine in them, tyrosine already, citrulline, things like that. I've experimented with different peptides as well for gut health and joint health. BPC 157 comes to mind. I found that largely effective for digestive health, not effective for joint health at all, really. Unless you've got a minor strain, something which would heal itself on its own, I don't think it's been that effective, to be honest. I've tried injectable and the capsule tablet version. Other things I've tried NAD+, worked for a week, then didn't. Tried ATP, quite good. Again, worked for a week, didn't, then continue working. Tried AMP, same thing, worked for a week, then didn't work. So it tells me there's some kind of feedback mechanism by the body to stop your body ramping up too much. And everything I do is very exhausting, so I'm trying to achieve a lot in a day, a lot more than what most people in my position would be trying to achieve. So I've always got that slightly overzealous string to my bow, I guess, which is a bit annoying at times. Other things, I mean, in times B complex can be useful. 1 or 2 of them a day for a week if you're ill. A few chelated zinc tablets. Acetylcysteine is very effective. Just use that for blocks of time, maybe 4 to 6 weeks, then come off it. It's a precursor to glutathione, so good for antioxidant status, liver detoxification, things like that. The other one I use is TUDCA, tauroursodeoxy cyclic acid, something like that. Well, I don't know. But it's effective for helping your body to, I believe it's produce bile acid to break down fatty acids. And it's kind of used in conjunction with NAC, TUDCA, and choline. I can't always eat lots of eggs, therefore I can't always manage to have enough choline in my diet to keep me in that liver detoxification status. I got a viral infection when I was in uni in second year, and yes, it was a viral infection, and it caused a lot of damage basically to my body, but I've since been able to heal it up and get my blood test results better than what they were prior to that. So what I've been doing has been effective, but I will say very clearly that these things should be used like cyclically. So you use them for a few weeks. Some things, vitamin, I don't know, B, use for a day even, Some of these things you might use for 2 months based on your blood results, but I formulate my diet, my training, any performance enhancing drugs, anything you think of, nutrition, anything, supplements based around my blood work and my results. So I create a big map in my head, as if I'm a coach to myself, and work out what I need to do and when, based on my symptomology. But yeah, it's been largely effective. Some supplements are better than others, but if it's a vitamin, a mineral, or amino acid used to correct a deficiency, at least alleviate it for a potential period of time, I think it's helpful. A lot of the herbs are bollocks, basically. There's not many I would recommend. Not many at all. I worked in a vegan health food shop. I'm well versed in supplement science and things like that, herbal science. There's not many things that I'd think to buy and repeat, put it that way.
No, I agree. I've tried them all too, over the years. Fighting my condition, everyone's got these herbs and spices that you should try to, but honestly, none of them make you feel any different, and it certainly didn't affect
poor.
For sure. Yeah. So how often do you test yourself blood-wise?
Yes, I'm usually getting it done about 3 times a year. Okay. If I feel I need to do it more, I'll do it more. But 3 a year is above average for bodybuilders. Most bodybuilders don't have any. They say they do, but they don't. And if they do, they have the wrong measurements taken. They just get the lipid panel checked and the full blood count and think, oh, that's fine. No, there's about 30 more you need to look at just to get even a rough idea of what's going on.
Yeah. Yeah, I understand that too. Bodybuilders I've known in the past, they've had a blood test maybe every 5 years or so, and the only thing they're worried about is the cholesterol. But
Yeah,
stupid crap
magic
like
in
that.
it. It's
Yeah.
magical.
Okay, so I recently saw you talking about your protein intake as well. You said that you were on 350 grams a day. Is that about
Mm.
right? Okay.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
was up to my show, but now I've actually increased it to 450.
450. Wow. Okay, so
Yeah.
okay, how do you eat that much protein in a day?
For me, it seems relatively easy. Like, I finish my meal, and obviously I don't feel like I want to eat more. But if you put another plate in front of me, I could easily eat that extra plate, like no sweat. I find that you get a disproportionate benefit in terms of body composition outcomes if you elevate protein and decrease fat. It sounds very simple. You eat more protein, more muscle in your body, eat less fat in your body. It does almost work in that effect. Now, what my point of the protein is, people can say, oh, gluconeogenesis, oh, turn to sugar, oh, diabetic. Well, no. I've debunked that myself with blood tests before. It's been disproven largely. The glucose amount created from gluconeogenesis is largely overstated for most people. I suspect a lot of the insulin secretion issues that people are having with a high protein diet are due to gut dysbiosis, microbiome shifts, basically. That's my strong opinion based on what I've found with different people. Now, the 450 protein, so that's what. So I got to 350 initially through the off-season diet, so tapering up my food intake, and that's where it's been largely for the last like 4 or 5 years anyway, regardless of whether I was on a carnivore diet or not. I'm 4.5 years in now to the carnivore diet, and that's just where my appetite takes me. That's where I recover best. That's where I feel best. The other thing is, most people don't need to do this. I've met about 2 people out of quite a few hundred, probably over half a thousand, 600 people that have been on a carnivore diet. There's been 2 or 3 people that have exceeded about 300 grams of protein per day. So it is an anomaly, but you've got to think I carry double the amount of muscle mass than the average man my height.
Yeah.
So I do have a double requirement at minimum, because I'm also resistance training hard and stuff like that as well. And the other thing is, I suspect that because of my comorbidities of autism, digestive issues at times, I'd say it's probably the fact that I'm giving myself more amino acids, more vitamins, minerals, things like that. My body's able to repair a bit better. Almost as if my body's wasting a bit of it, but my body's having me have the appetite for more, so I can get more in to almost patch up that seal, I guess. That's my personal opinion, but there's no way to know.
No, that's right.
I'm
There's
up
no
to
way
450
to know,
now.
but it does make sense. I mean, everything like from bones to muscle to connective tissue, it's all amino acids and peptides. So it's that's I mean, the more obviously, then it's going to certainly help with healing. I would suspect, but also I think it's very much an adaptive thing. When people are listening to this, so I want you to understand that it is an adaptive thing. It's something that, like, Jonathan's been doing this for a very long time. And like you said, he's been bodybuilding for 14 years. And for the last 4 or 5 years, he's been doing a high amount of protein, about 400 grams or so. And he is a very big guy.
I was 93.5 kilos this morning.
100 kilos.
I'm getting shredded fast.
Yeah. Lean. So that's over 200 pounds, thereabouts. So, he's a fair sized guy. And like you said, the muscle mass for his size requires more protein. Okay. So, like I always say, it's an adaptive thing. And what I do like about that is that you said that you go on your appetite requirements. Listen to your body, if you're still hungry, eat more. Simple. It's not that difficult, really. But how do you actually eat that much weight? Do you use protein powders or anything like that?
Funnily enough, I use more protein powders in the off season because you're basically I'm coupling the protein with a fat source, like a dairy fat. So like a cream, butter, just so I can get more food in a small space. As I'm dieting down, my nutrient requirements are higher. So rather than trying to pull I'm not going to drop body fat, and therefore I'm not going to eat. I'm going to eat loads of fat so I don't feel hungry. Or I can use a different satiety mechanism, so the fullness feeling. That's what I personally do, and I found really effective. But I'm also getting the satiety from the nutrient density of the foods I'm eating. And how I get it down is, I don't know, but it is very easy for me. I've got a very ferocious appetite, and if, for example, I go to the gym and I train a heavy leg session, and I go to failure in every set, rest pause sets, all the hard stuff that people talk about, I'll feel a bit nauseous, but the next few days I'll be really hungry. My appetite will pick up like 20-30%. But I just keep my diet the same throughout every single day, just so it's easy to measure and manage. Keeps my life really simple. No one watching this probably needs more than 180 grams of protein, largely. Like, out of all those people I've spoken to, most men are between 150 to 180 protein per day. So if anyone watching or listening to this, that's about, I want to say about 800 grams of meat or something. That's 800 grams of meat total. So that's with no eggs, no fish, no dairy, no extra protein sources. So you can imagine most people are probably eating about a pound of meat with supplementary animal food sources. So that's where most people should probably be at, in my opinion.
Very much. And there's plenty of videos that talk about how much protein people should be taking in as well. And again, like Jonathan was saying, he, even on a after a heavy leg day, he gets hungry the next couple of days because his body's recovering, but he keeps his diet the same right through the week. That's something I noticed as well. I have, my hunger days are usually after a heavy leg session, especially. Because you're using large muscle groups, with the legs, and if you push it hard enough, the next 2-3 days I'm much hungrier than usual. So instead of giving into the appetite through that, you always keep it the same, right? Like every day is the same.
Yeah, the reason being, so I had a very long conversation with my friend Jerome Armstrong about this a while ago. I think you probably remember his name. So he's a gentleman that comes on my channel, carnivore bodybuilder. He's been at it about 5 or 6 years. He trains about twice per week, and a lot of his clients also train about twice per week. So his reason or rationale for having more food in certain days is much higher. Whereas me, I train about 4 days per week on average. Therefore, am I really going to do high, low, high, low? It's a bit of a mind fuck, basically, just to keep changing it every day. Whereas if I know I'm only changing it 2 days per week and eating an extra, drumstick 2 days per week, it's an easy thing to manage. For me, it's not worth complicating. I think once you get past those 2 sessions per week in the gym kind of stage, I think therefore you're at the point where diet should be largely more consistent, I think.
Yeah. Do you? The old education system is all about the first 30 minutes after training is the most important for speedy recovery. Do you adhere to that still, or it doesn't really matter to you? You just keep your diet, you can eat hours after training, or?
I tend to get hungry about 2 hours after training, an hour and a half to 2 hours, just through default appetite. I'm not looking at the clock. I do look at the clock to have my meal to remind me, but only because I'm approaching that rough hour where I'm usually going to eat something. And if I push that meal an hour back, then I know I've still got to maintain my current diet so I can still perform in the gym. Because training performance is probably the best metric of muscle mass retention, besides getting a scan done, of course. I found that I do tend to just be more, how do I put it? So I just go to appetite, basically. But I deliberately make sure I get the amount of meals and the macros for the given day in, but I'm careful not to push it too far back. So say I'm in front of a screen all day, I'm working hard, I'm not hungry. If I push too far back, I've then got to have 2 meals in one. Or if I'm stuffed, I'm not going to sleep as well. Not a good idea. I'm better off just structuring it and just giving myself like a window of time, roughly. But it is to appetite. If I'm sat there, I'm not hungry at all for an hour and a half. I'll just wait. You know, I don't force my body. You know.
Yeah. No, that's great. That's the way I look at it now too. I mean, obviously, straight out of uni, I was the same. I was thinking, the first 30 minutes you have to get force feed yourself, But honestly, like especially after a leg workout, I can't eat for hours. Like I'm just not hungry, Your
blood glucose is probably elevated.
Yeah, that's right.
It's prepared. It's your body's way of preparing you, as you know. Saying, well, that was hard. I might have to do this again in a bit. So I'm going to anticipate this happening. I'm going to release a load of blood glucose from liver glycogen, but probably mostly skeletal muscle tissue, muscle glycogen. Because I'm ready and waiting for it to happen. So your body's not going to want additional substrate in it at that time. So you'll wait for your parasympathetic nervous system to reactivate, switch off those adrenal hormones, then you'll be hungry. So you might find you get like a 2-hour gap where you're like nauseous from the thought of eating. Then that third hour, you're like, oh my God, feed me now. Yeah, I get that personally. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if I try to force feed myself after a heavy leg session, I'm just going to throw it up. You really
people don't realize as well, like your digestion takes about a third of your blood, or a third of your energy. Sorry. When you're digesting food, you're meant to be in a still, relaxed state. It's the way the body's meant to be. So if you're training in the gym, all your blood flows in your legs, and your brain's struggling to sort of keep awake because it's all down there. It's not optimal for digesting food because the blood is anywhere but the digestive system at that point in time.
Yeah, and I've just found that myself, and just in training myself, and especially since going carnivore as well, it's just it does not matter so much when you get your timing between training and eating, so much as long as you get those macros in throughout the day, it's really not going to affect that much. It certainly hasn't affected recovery, that's for sure. No,
I don't see a large difference really.
All right, so what would be let me see, the biggest change do you think since going carnivore in your life, and how it's affected your sport, and what would be the best piece of advice you could offer someone who is trying to put on muscle, going and needs carnivore for health reasons or just for pure longevity?
Yeah, I'm not going to remember all 3 of those questions. You have to remind me as I go through them.
No worries.
First question was regarding the most benefit I saw from carnivore. So for me, let's give you the mental health side of it. I'm still nuts and a bit loopy, but I'm a bit less nuts and a bit less loopy. So I find I can manage things a bit better in my day-to-day life. I'm able to sort of chat to people like you yourself without much anxiety or worry or too much dissatisfaction. It's been a pleasure so far, but it's that kind of thing. So just being able to sort of keep on top of things better, being able to manage things better, having more sense of purpose, more stoicism, being a bit more robust about things mentally, but still being sensitive at the same time to other people's feelings, but also at the same time realizing I do have to respect mine. And I think it's given me at least some life in terms of freedom, because I'm able to take more control over myself, my life, my actions. Having my own business now, my own YouTube channel, I can control what I do, which makes my life a lot easier versus going out into the big wide world as a little kid like I am at heart. Means I can actually much more easily manage my life, with pain, spine, disease, chronic fatigue. My days just go by a lot more easier now, compared to when I used to have to get up, walk down with heavy bags to get somewhere, get a bus, jump around the bus, getting shaken all over for an hour and a half each way to work, to spend half the money that I earn a day on buses, to then get back after a 50-hour work week and be in pain, suffering, crying to my mum.
Yeah,
I don't quite live that way anymore, because if I cry anyway, I'll be here, and I can manage my life so I'm not in tears and pain all the time. So it's that's been the main benefit. And what's the second question? Sorry.
Advice for I suppose how it's affected your sport, your bodybuilding since going carnivore.
Sure. So it's much easier to stay leaner in that if I default to what my appetite tells me to eat, so I don't track anything. Obviously, I have an idea of portion size at this point, but at this point, I can say I could stop bodybuilding right now, go back down to like one training session a week, walk the dog, do things I enjoy, play Xbox or something if I enjoyed that, but I don't, and just live quite peacefully, not gain body fat, maintain a good body composition, and it's quite freeing in that sense because you don't have to think. There's no additional tracking required, at least to maintain like a somewhat normal athletic-ish looking physique. I'd say the other benefits would be that you sleep better, you're less stuffed at night because you're effectively half the amount of food volume that you're taking in. If you're heavy, you've got big chest, big belly, I don't know, then you're putting more food in it and you're lying your side at night, it's going to be so hard to sleep. You sleep for a lot less. Most carnivores sleep 5 to 6 hours a night from my experience, apparently. I've had a lot of check-ins, guys, with different clients. I've just seen across the board they do tend to sleep about an hour to an hour and a half less than what the average suggested requirement is. So that tells me, okay, your sleep's more efficient, you get more hours in the day. Your joints definitely hurt less, and you're more robust to the environment around you. The excess inflammation doesn't seem to be quite there. So although some days I might have a load of dairy and yogurt and cheese and just things which are slightly more pro-inflammatory in the carnivore sense, I'll notice I have a threshold of that. Now, if I'm then to have that same threshold in carbohydrate grams, but have it through plant foods with fiber, toxins, lectins, anti-nutrients, oxalates, all these other things that we don't want in our body, that our body doesn't seem to require, then I'm going to yourself a lot better eating a diet that emits them. And it's an easy decision for me to make. They're the main few things, so sleep, digestion, and joint pain, and the brain health side of it, being able to just recover better, I guess. And there's one more question.
Advice for anyone who wants to, or is dealing with a condition and also wants to be like yourself, build muscle and get on with their life, sort of thing. Any kind of advice you'd give them?
Honestly, this sounds like a real sort of sales pitch, but I'd buy my ebook. It's $12, guys. It's £9.49. You'll get more out of that ebook than every bodybuilding ebook on Amazon Kindle combined. I guarantee it. I mean, you won't find more information out there. I'll probably send you a copy even if you want it. But it's good. It's 170 pages, handwritten by myself and my friend Jerome Armstrong. I've got a degree in nutrition. He's got a degree, I think a master's degree in kinesiology, so human movement. It's definitely focused towards people that are trying to build muscle and lose fat using safe and effective methods on a carnivore diet. So you won't find much more information out there. It took me about 1.5 years to write with my friend Jerome, so I'm solid it's robust. And that's the best way to get the most bang for your buck.
Yeah, I mean, 170 pages, most online trainers have it like a 10-page sort of ebook, and they sort of promote like they had this
the products, affiliate links, and
product. Yeah, it's just ridiculous. But
there's no products. Yeah, there's no real products in it. There's nothing in there which is like, I want you to actually buy this. This is a hook. There's nothing in there. Everything in there is like, what's the biggest bang for your buck for your money? And after that, I'd probably say stick to a carnivore diet that focuses on the outside moving in. So what I mean by that is mixed animal foods. I don't know, pick 6-7 animal foods that you like. I don't know, milk, eggs, cheese, fish, beef, lamb, chicken, fight, whatever. Just start from there. Don't try and be, go from A to Z straight away. Some people don't get benefit from a line diet. Some people feel worse. Most people feel worse after a period of time. So it tells me there's obviously something not quite right about it for the majority of people. But there's times when you can use that sort of thing as a tool, to be more effective. But it's so individually dependent. But building muscle, losing fat, I'd adopt a diet with more animal foods than less. The most muscular people I know eat more animal foods in terms of choice. The skinniest people I know all eat the lion diet.
Yeah.
So that might be a little hack there. Like, what can you do to get shredded fast? Lion diet. What can you do to build most muscle? Mixed animal foods. That's probably my main advice, really. Just find a way to stick to it that works for you, that you can adhere to for the long term.
Yeah, great advice. I completely agree. Actually, I always say, like, have a good mix of animal foods, fats especially because of the variety of like, omega-3s, for example. Yeah, which lion diet just doesn't really give you. And like you said, it can be useful as a tool in short term, but I don't see it like actually being a long term sort of diet for longevity anyway. And source of food is really important too. The difference between like monogastric animals, chicken and like getting chicken meat and eggs and pork, for example, if they're fed crap, like that crap comes out in the eggs and it comes out in their flesh. So these are things that you need to think about as well. I think, especially if you want to get lean and stay healthy as well. So, because you don't want soy in your eggs and things like that, Yeah.
That's the thing about my book. It teaches people how to do it safe and effective way. Like, the training in it is as safe and effective as you can get it. Honestly, I've worked with lots of clients that have done the same thing that's in the book. And it really does work. There's no fasting. There's no this protocol, this thing, this. It's all stuff which is just sensible, which is just tweaking your body in a certain direction for a certain period of time, getting the effect, moving on, doing the next thing.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and I think key there too, though, Jonathan listens to his body. Like you said before, he eats to his appetite for one, and when he always. When he tries something, if it doesn't work after a week or two, he changes it. Okay, so just listen to your body. Those are very important keys. All right, well, we'll leave it there, mate, because I know you're short on time. But thank you very much. I really appreciate you coming on, and hopefully we can do this again sometime.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for having me on. It's been really nice having a chat. We'll have to swap video soon and do something on my channel with you. If anyone did have any questions, put them below in the comment section. I might not answer them. I probably won't. It'll probably be a case of, what macro should I eat? And I'll say, I can't tell you. It's impossible to know. So no, there's not going to be specific advice about what you need in terms of what. I'm not putting people at risk by giving them off the cuff advice. I'm not doing it anymore. There's no benefit to it. The only things we should really be saying in comment sections of people we don't know is, seed oils are bad, carnivore diet's good, eat enough meat, eat enough fat, drink to first, salt to taste, do some sensible, effective resistance training, move on. That's about it. Everything else, guys, is just a small little pebble. Probably not important.
Yeah, small tweaks. I mean, again, I'll put links to Jonathan's channel and to his ebook and everything in the description. But again, if you want more specific advice, you have to be more specific in your question. And I think I'd definitely recommend Jonathan for a consultation if you are going to do anything or go into that sport yourself. So but there's links to his website on his channel as well, so I'll put that there for you.
Thank you.
All right.
Yeah, appreciate that. Yeah, take care, guys.